and then they come to the end and they're really growing. That's what I'm drawn to. That's the story I want to see. I want to read.
Hello, writers and crafters. I'm Valerie Isan.
And I'm Eric Mertz.
And this is episode 204 of the podcast, and it is October 29th, 2025, as we record this. Today, we're here with Heather Snodgrass, and we're going to be talking about flawed female leads in our fiction. First, we want to thank our existing patrons for believing in our work offline. And here on the podcast, you can become a patron of the arts at patreon.com/Valerie Isan, IHSAN. I had to pause there for a second. How do I spell my name? IHSAN. Or you can go to patreon.com/Strange Air Stories. All right. Aligned Author is totally open and ready for you to come in. You can go to valerieisan.com/aligned author to check out that new coaching program. And I have Right in the Harbors coming up next weekend. This weekend, I have out-of-state guests coming in. We're having a Halloween party. And it's our going away party. And so a lot of other people that we don't normally hang out with are going to be there. And we have out of state guests that are coming in and staying with us. So we're kind of getting ready for that, along with, it just sort of falls under the rental ready, getting stuff around the house ready for the party and for renters. And we got this big dumpster delivered in the
I saw that on
driveway.
Instagram. I saw
Man,
that.
it's like
I love getting the dumpster. It's so empowering.
it
It's
is
like,
empowering. It's almost like halfway full too. When we looked at it, we were like, "Whoa, this is big. There's no way we're gonna." And then, of course, there's more and more and more that you keep adding
yeah,
to it, and
yeah.
so so that stuff like that, and doing a lot of weeding because the painting has to be done before we can put the gutters up. We can't get the ladder to the spot until we like trim back this giant bush that's been growing for 10 years. Stuff like that. So that takes a lot of time, and actually my muscles are really sore from just doing all this like farm labor. Who knew throwing trash in a dumpster was like so hard? Like you're going back and forth
Who knew?
with the wheelbarrow because all the trash is like in the backyard. So no
Haven't
one
you
can
watched
see
like a
it.
romance
Back
book
and
from
forth,
the
back
old
and forth.
days? You get that hunky guy and he's like lifting bales of hay. Like that's how you get hunky without the
I
gym.
know. Ali was like doing something in the back, and I was like, "Babe, all you
Yeah,
need is a
there you
tool
go.
belt now."
Lift with your legs, man.
uh, Also, yesterday was my last day at the bookstore,
I
so that
saw
was
that on the gram
sad.
too. I
And
saw that too.
Oh man.
people got me cookies, and it was nice.
Oh,
Lots of hugs, and I've been there for 6 years.
yeah. Yeah.
There
When I
was
saw that,
that
I
eight
felt
month
guilty.
that it was that 8 month stint where I was like, I'm gonna be a full-time writer. And then like 8 months later, I was like, can I come
Can I
back?
come back, please?
I was
I
really
really
like,
like the cookies.
oh man, this is depressing. But
Yeah.
whatever, they were family, so I really had feelings about leaving. So
Yeah.
it's
I could
that's
tell.
a bunch of what's happening here, getting ready for the presentations I'm giving, and cleaning and weeding and stuff like that. Also trying to have a little bit of self-care in there too. I'm gonna go get a
Just
mani
a little
pedi
bit,
after
though.
this.
All right.
Just a little bit.
What's going on in your
Oh,
world,
it's my
Eric?
cue. Well, last weekend was Ghost Story weekend in
Woo!
lovely Newport at the Sylvia Hotel.
Oh, you
Um,
went to that place? I didn't know that's where you were going.
we were at the Sylvia. I didn't realize it until maybe 2 months ago. I kept seeing the things come through my email,
Mm-hmm.
and I was about to email them and say I don't want the same room I had at the Mountain Lodge last time because it was anyway. I had like a room that was just not, it was at the end of the, I didn't want to be at the end of the thing. I was going to be very like, I am the ghost host and I get to pick a room. I was going to pull that thing. And then I looked and like, oh, it's at the Sylvia. I don't care what room I'm in. I just want to
Yeah,
be at the
just bring it
Sylvia.
on.
It was fantastic. It's what everyone, it's just a very dreamy experience. You show up on Thursday and everybody, it's like it's really fun how at a retreat like that or a residence like that, everybody just gets together. These are your 8 or 9 people for the next 3 days. So it was fun. I met a lot of people who I know through peripheral connections, organizations. And we wrote some stories. There were some really great stories. There's one author there. They write these funny ghost stories, and I tell you, the whole drive home, I was just chuckling about this. I mean, it was just a hilarious turn of phrase. It was like a fairy godfather story. It was like this very flamboyant ghost kind of thing. It was just such a great story.
Awesome.
It's the best weekend of the year. In hindsight, it's always the best weekend of the year. It was fun. Yeah. But
Did you get your
otherwise,
Instagram pictures?
no, I took no pictures whatsoever.
What?
None. None.
You
And there were so many.
last week we had a
I,
whole talk about how you
I
were
know.
gonna start
But
doing your Instagram with
I
the
know.
ghost
But here's
story
what
weekend.
happens. I go to these things and it's like, I just want to be here. I just want to do this thing. And there was,
Yeah,
I
but
actually
you can be
thought of,
like, hey, let's take a selfie first and then do the thing.
but then, yeah, so I left my phone in my room a lot. I
What?
left my phone in my room.
Well,
I know. This is like, God forbid you go to a writing residency and you don't like carry your phone around. That's what I kept thinking.
Well, I mean, here's the
I'm
thing,
so
Eric.
conflicted.
People don't use business cards anymore, really. Because you just pick up the phone, you're like, oh, are you on Instagram? What's your handle?
yeah.
And now you
Right.
have a direct way of communicating with them and you've
Listen,
got
my
it saved in
therapy
your
is later
phone.
today. It doesn't need to be now. This is
Okay.
not, we do
Sorry.
not need to have an impromptu therapy session right here. I paid more for that than you could. Just kidding. Um, but it was great. I brought like some, because it's everybody there gets a piece of my time because they want to like they
Mhm.
book time. And so I can't really commit to writing anything new. I have to always be ready to be interrupted. I brought some half finished things and some half cocked ideas and thought, all right, I'm just gonna kind of pick at things that are like rewrite things and pick at things while I'm here. And it was successful. I finished the things I came for, and so I brought there, and it was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm back next year. It sounds like already.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yeah.
It's always gratifying to be like, oh, they want me back.
Mm.
Well, I did the whole. As I left, I said, "Look, if you want me back next year, I'd love to. These are some things I've already thought about doing." Um, and Daryl Lynn was like, "Whoa, whoa, if like keep going. You're it. You're doing it. Let's go." So
Nice. That's
that's
cool.
validating.
You're the resident dude. You're the ghost
Yeah.
story dude.
Now I want to do that like 6 times a year. So
Right? I like
I don't
doing
know if
events.
I don't know if my family wants me to do that 6 weekends a year, but I do.
What about you, Heather? What's up in your world?
Uh, we are currently fostering 6 kittens, so that's been
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
at
our
once?
That takes
yeah.
up a lot of time.
Yeah, we had to get them up to 2 pounds so that they could be spayed and neutered, and then they'll go up for adoption. But our dogs are losing their minds.
I
So,
bet.
yeah, they are like, what is this little tiny creature? And
That
uh,
moves.
yeah, yeah. Like our one dog, he's older. He's good with like he's always been around cats and stuff, so he's not having an issue. But our younger dog is fairly new to cats, and she's like, I just want to like pounce on these things, and I
Yeah.
don't understand why I can't. She does want to play, but she just doesn't know her size. She's
Yeah.
significantly bigger than a kitten, so so it's been a lot actually. It's been a lot, but they're doing really well.
Do
Other
you have
than
to
that,
like hand feed them and stuff? Sounds like
no,
they were really
oh my
little.
gosh, thankfully I was not bottle feeding or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all eating and doing everything on their own. They're all like we haven't had any litter incidents where they go outside of their box or anything like that. So they're doing great with that. which I was very happy about. I was like, am I gonna have to litter train? Because I'm not good at that. I haven't had a cat in like decades, so I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, they're cute as can be, and they're almost all of them have a home lined up already.
Oh,
So, and
good.
they're not even up for adoption yet. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think we're all getting ready for that next stage. They can go be with their people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's been the majority of, well, we're actually coming up on a month that we've had them now. So yeah. Um, Other
What
than that, yeah, just making the rounds here.
what are you reading?
You know what? I have several books in my pile that I'm alternating between. So I've had some really good experiences lately with meeting other authors all around the world and stuff. And
Hmm.
so I have a few books from authors that I've met recently that I was like, I've got to read your book, of course. So I've been kind of posting them a little bit. I have on my website, which is authorheathersnodgrass.com, I post up there on one of the pages on there what I'm currently reading and what I'm currently thinking about it and the books I've read this year. So I'm rating it. Currently, I'm working an idea, which is like I rate it with reading light brightness. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, I'm like, do I like this? I don't know. I'm experimenting a little bit, but yeah. So my goal at the start of the year was to do 12 books this year.
Uh-huh.
I uh,
Reviewing 12 books?
just to read 12 books, just to
Oh,
actually sit down and read
okay.
12 books,
Okay.
which I know isn't much, but when you get really busy, like it's really hard to just dedicate yourself to that. So I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
start with 12 books and go from there. Well, I've pretty much doubled that already, so
Mm-hmm.
I've done really well this year. I'm happy with that. So I like to set a small goal so that I know I can achieve it, and then if I can
That's
double
a
it, that
brilliant plan.
yeah.
Yes, I definitely think that is the way to go.
Yeah.
Well, we
So
can link your website in there. So if
awesome.
you want to read,
Yeah.
listeners, if you want to see what she's read for the year so far, then
Yeah.
that's where you can go and check it out.
Yeah.
What about you, Eric? What are you reading?
I am reading. This is how I keep my list of number of books I read up. As I read a lot of graphic novels here. Like kind
There
of
you go.
insert a graphic novel in between. You know, it's like I make a layer cake of books, and
Lasagna.
the frosting. I'm at the frosting part. I'm reading Batman: The Long Halloween, which is
Ooh.
if you're a Batman person, this is what the Penguin series on HBO is based on. This
Oh.
run of I think it's like 10 issues.
What
And
is it called again? Batman what?
The Long Halloween.
The Long Halloween.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's great. And the new edition of it just came out from DC, and it's really nice. It like replicates the pages of a comic book. They have that sort of pulpy
Mm.
feel, and they're like
Hmm.
it so it's great. And I'm also reading a collection of flash fiction. Um, Miriam Gershon. I saw her I was with her. I taught with her at Southwest Washington Writers Conference, and she did this presentation on flash fiction, and I got the bug for checking it out. So I'm reading those stories.
Is that the
Um,
survival tips?
the the 73 the flash fiction collection.
Yeah.
No, no, she just said like check. She gave some recommendations
Oh, I
for
thought you meant the
collections.
book that she wrote. Her latest
No,
is survival tips. Okay.
yeah, right. I have that, but I haven't started reading it yet. No, she turned everyone on to flash fiction, and checking out some collections she says great way to do it, just immerse. And it's
So
interesting.
what's the
There's I've
name
read
of the book so I can
Flash Fiction 73.
Flash Fiction 73. Okay, thank
There's
you.
like, yeah, 73 stories, and it's just so crazy what people do more with less is what I've
Mm-hmm.
found, right? In this
Yeah.
early. Yeah. What about you? What's on your
Well, I had started reading Wild Dark Shore, which is great, but I needed something a little bit different for this week of craziness getting ready for the party and everything. So I have switched momentarily to a Lisa Jewell mystery. None of this is true is the name of this one.
There's the frosting. There's
There's
the
the frosting.
frosting.
There's my frosting.
I
Yeah.
love
So
it.
I'm reading some frosting right now. And then of course, creative act, like in the morning when I'm eating breakfast, like I'll read a little bit of Rick Rubin, a little something something.
Yeah. Hats
Nice.
off to that book. Gosh, that sticks with you. I read it last year and I still think of things from that book. It just
Oh,
they come resonating back.
speaking of books that you have recommended in the past, Eric, on
Uh-oh.
the so
Oh
you
no.
often talk about David Mamet's book, Writing in Restaurants, as like
I
this
love it.
holy grail kind of book. And I remember when you first started talking about it, I went and looked for it and I wasn't able to find it for some reason. I can't remember why. And I kept waiting for it to show up in the bookstore. And it never, never, never,
Never shows
never,
up.
never, never showed up. So finally, I bought it off of like Abe Books or something like that, used. I found a used hardcover and have it now. Haven't read it yet, but I have it. And then yesterday, on the last day
Oh
of
no, this is
working
too
at
good.
Tsunami, it showed up. And I was like, so I bought it. So now I have
You have
two
two copies
copies.
of it?
I had to buy it because
You have to,
it
yeah.
showed up on the last day that I was there. And it was a book I had looked for the entire time working there.
Right. Right.
That
And
sounds
we never
serendipitous.
ever had it. So I was like,
That is
I
so
think
funny.
I'm supposed to have this book again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
now maybe I'll do like a giveaway or something on my mailing list or whatever.
I
I don't
like
know. Now I have
I've
two
said
copies.
that book is so good. It's just
All right,
it hit me
let's
at the
get.
right time.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay, Heather Snodgrass has always had a love of novels, movies, and the creative arts. She attended the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in 2007 as an actor and has pursued different avenues to bring stories to life. She currently lives with her husband, JD, and dogs in Colorado and foster kittens too.
Yeah, and foster kittens.
But she's lived many places and enjoys traveling. She also enjoys playing video games and gardening.
Ooh,
Like Ariana, she has a playlist for everything she does and loves to have people make playlists about themselves when you meet. So I want to ask about that.
mm.
And she's more than happy to share her playlist with anyone interested. So, welcome to the podcast, Heather Snodgrass.
Thank you. I'm so
And
excited to be here. I really am.
yay! Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, we're talking today about flawed female leads. So, I really loved the idea of focusing on that unapologetic, like, I'm a badass. What do you got?
Yeah.
So tell me about your like
Wait, is that a flaw?
how does that come up? Yeah, right. Is that a flaw?
That's a
Like
flaw?
what?
Hold on, let me write this down. I am
That
clearly so
that
far
may not
behind.
be a flaw, but maybe being unapologetic about your flaws might be
Okay,
a
got it,
flaw.
got it.
So tell
Yeah.
me about that. Let's
Uh,
start there.
I think we're kind of in that what do I want to say? Like we're kind of in that time of, like human nature, I would say, where we're kind of drawn to these female characters that maybe they're flawed, maybe we don't really see their flaws, but I definitely think um the real is coming through now and we're all related, relatable to these female characters or really any characters that have flaws, but we've seen it a lot with male characters. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting time and I'm excited about it.
So when we write fiction, I
Yeah.
mean, we obviously want it to be a relatable character.
Yes.
And so having flaws is important for that level, but also the character, like the emotional journey that the character
Yeah.
goes on, you have to start with a flawed character so that they can improve or
Yeah, yeah.
change by
Yeah.
the end
Get
of the
better.
story.
Yeah.
So, how is this different than just writing a flawed character? Like where is the extra in this for you? Why does this excite you? Why does this
You know, like for me personally, I've been on a huge like growing journey. So, I, that's the kind of stories I like to watch or read, are the ones where people actually grow in them. And it's not just, you watch a story and you see them kind of evolve a little bit, and then maybe they digress at the end, and then they end up back kind of where they started. I'm not into that. That usually frustrates me a lot. But for me, um, if if I'm actually watching the story and you're watching people with flaws, or you're watching, them go through stuff, and then they come to the end and they're really growing, that's what I'm drawn to. That's the story I want to see, I want to read. Um, so that's what's in it for me. But there's a lot of stories out there where people just don't grow at the end of it. And you're like, well, what was the point of that? What did I watch this for if they're just completely flawed the whole time and they don't have any regard for their consequences, of their actions and stuff. They're just out there, um, and our consequences, I should say our actions all have consequences for other people. And I really want to believe and see that people are aware of that, and that, we're trying to not do something bad for other people. Like if we knew our actions had those consequences for others, um, we would choose to, you know, be mindful of our actions in that regard. And we would be, choosing to make people's lives better if we could help it. That's what I want to believe. And so I like to see that storyline too.
So it sounds like maybe due to current events and the way the world is right now, the frustration of not having a pleth there are less kind people than there used to be.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Or those
I've
so
less
I've
kind people have more of a are on stage right now instead of,
well,
yeah.
and that's it. I really do think that what we're seeing is the less kind people are the loudest right now.
Hmm.
And I choose to believe that the majority of us, which is really, really what's happening, are just more quiet right now, or we're just not seeing that. But I want to believe that the majority of us are still kind and empathetic, and we want to make people's lives better. I just think that the squeaky wheel is the one getting the attention right now. And so I'm trying to stay focused on the quiet of the world rather than the loud squeaky wheel that's getting all the attention at the moment.
So what do you think is the most important um, part of this flawed female lead? Like, is it just that there is a growth journey, or is
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, so it all kind of comes together with her. So the female lead in my book is Scorpion. She's a master assassin. She's raised to be an assassin for her family's business, her father's business, basically. Um, and as she grows up, she's tends to be more empathetic, and she has a lot more. She kind of associates with empathetic people. Um, and so one of her biggest flaws is that she's an empathetic assassin, which she
Hmm.
thinks she's actually killing to make the world better. So she grows up really believing that she's making the world better by killing the bad people, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
And
she's
as
Dexter.
she
She's got a Dexter quality to her.
There is a Dexter quality. You are right about that. And as she kind of, like when she becomes an adult, that's really where the book centers around is more her adulthood. But she's assigned a target and she doesn't quite understand the target. But her day job is being a pediatric oncology nurse. So she also, is a killer because you know, she sees kids suffering all day and she feels there's a huge injustice in the world and she doesn't like it. So that's kind of why she continues to do the bad things until she gets assigned a target that she doesn't agree with and she starts to question if she's even on the right side. Um, but as she grows, she's still empathetic, and that kind of starts to alter her targets and how she commits the assassinations and stuff. Um, and once she starts to lean more into that empathy, she sorry, I'm like I edit some of my part too, but when she starts to lean more into that empathy, she starts to realize how directly affected other people are by her actions. So other people are punished for her crimes and stuff like that, and she starts to see that, and so she really starts to redefine justice, and she
Mhm.
realizes she needs to basically take her father's business down and all the players in it, um, because they are not on the good side, and she doesn't want to be a part of that anymore.
Is
I
was
read this.
there oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
I was going
Eric.
to say I read a really interesting piece at the end of the Breaking Bad run, kind of before Better Call Saul came out. But there was this great article. I think it was in one of the screenwriting magazines. It said rewatch this series and watch it from Skylar's point of view. Like we see everything through like this is why Walter White, as this flawed male character, makes these choices. And then rewatch it from her point of view as a flawed female lead and why
Mm,
she's like, because her sin is complicity and her sin is
yeah.
inaction and her sin is hoping that he'll change. Um,
Yes.
but it was such an interesting, like I've rewatched the show multiple times. One of those was, intentionally through her eyes. It was also interesting to watch it through her eyes and then look at the cultural reaction to that character as
Yeah.
that show was coming to its end because she was a reviled character in the
Yes.
public eye
Yeah.
for her complicity, and it was such a contradiction because here it's her husband's sins that she's dealing with,
Yeah.
and yet like we see him as like his flaw is he's trying to be a breadwinner for his family and trying to save them from the indignity of his debt and in cancer, but like we can forgive that, but the fact that she's complicit in it was it's just such an interesting contradiction. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
said that if the roles were reversed. If she
Right.
had gone in and become, done something awful to I just thought it was a really interesting.
I yeah, maybe. I hope we wouldn't have said it if it was her, but
Right.
she did get so much hate, and it
Oh,
is it does bring up that like dynamic a little bit. Like why do we hate her? Like I wasn't one in that boat. I always
no.
kind of appreciated where she was, um but I do think people just are tend to gravitate towards the hate of like the female that's in a certain position rather than like
Right.
say the male that's actually doing these things. Yeah.
Do you
Right.
think that people read those strong female leads so that they have someone to hate?
Hmm.
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, you, ooh, maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Because a lot of
I
people punish women for
They
being
do.
loud and messy and,
Yeah,
unapologetic.
exactly. Exactly. And you see that a lot throughout like my book is like, she's the daughter of the family and she's put in the position to be, the assassin, whereas like her brother gets more preferential treatment and he does he does worse things most of the time, but he's still regarded higher, and so she takes a lot of the fall and she realizes everything is going to come down on her unless she does something about it. Um, because she's going to be the one that ends up being punished more.
So
And
it sounds, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, no, that's okay. I was going to say she's morally punishing herself because she realizes how much she has affected other people and innocent people at that. Um, at some point in the book. So,
I mean, there's also an element in your story is a lot like that Batman, run, because a lot of that is, the Penguin. It's the Penguin against Sophia Falcone, who does like some really
oh,
harsh. There's some harsh. She has to get dirtier than the supervillains to get what she needs, and
yeah,
you can see the evidence of it in the TV show. Like how brave this actress is for playing such a reviled female character, and
yeah,
but we don't hear that for Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. It's like we expect this like flawed like supervillain to be a male, but when that female character's doing it, it's there's this other like this other thing, and I
yeah.
think it's very interesting uh
It it is very interesting,
read.
especially from an outside perspective, but go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you write her because because you had something to say about
Mm.
society
Ooh,
and where women are placed?
that's really interesting. I think it's just kind of coming together in that regard. So I don't want to say that like the book wrote itself, but I it when I actually speak about this book and when I think about it, I feel more like a conduit for telling this story. Like I almost feel like Ariana told her own story and I was just the writer putting down her words. Um and I don't know if that's like a weird thing to say. I don't know if that's a weird thing to imagine for people because, at the end of the day, I was the one writing and the ideas were coming to me, but I originally started writing this as a limited series, like screenplay. I'd written the whole pilot, and then I just started writing other episodes, and I decided I wanted to turn this into a book because there was so much to say.
Mm.
Um, and each of the stories within the book just really flowed naturally, and it wasn't one of those things where I was like, personally, I've gone through some of these things, so I need to write this down and I need to share this. It felt more just easier to write, if that makes any sense. Like it just really flowed and now it's coming out at a time where we're really seeing like a lot of women being punished for things that a lot of men are guilty of, or, maybe just society as a whole have has let other people get away with things that we are hating on women for.
What are some tips, maybe one or two tips for writers to write these strong characters without being, I mean, there's feminism,
Yeah,
obviously,
right,
but
right.
how are you writing these women without bashing men, without how do you keep that balance?
So I
Or
have
is
I
that
have
important to you at all? I don't
it
know.
is. It absolutely is because I think one of the things that we're up against right now with feminism, right, is there's a view of it that if you're a feminist, you just don't like men. And that's absolutely not true. Because I have really great men in my life. So if a writer's out there like maybe struggling with how to write like say a woman, and they don't want to bash men, like either draw on their personal experiences or maybe like talk to women, talk to men too, because there are definitely men out there championing um for the issues that we're seeing, and we're all flawed, and that's the huge part of my book is like humans are complex. We are all complex. We are never just one thing. And, a lot of times we see something as a flaw, but it's just, it's just a human trying
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
trying to learn how to exist. And, we're all learning, we all misstep sometimes. We all say the wrong thing when we don't mean to. We all do things that we're not proud of at times. And we try to learn from that. And that's the main thing is, we're all in that boat. But the question is a woman punished more than a man for doing something? And I've seen a lot of interesting topics, especially recently with some things going on in like pop culture right now, especially where, you know, a woman says something, but we don't punish a man who's actually guilty of that. Like, there was like maybe a quote made recently and by a woman. Um, but at the same time, we're celebrating a man who's actually been accused of this joke that the woman made. So, but she's getting punished harder. Without going into
For
specifics,
making
I
the
don't.
joke about it, for riffing on it.
Yeah, and I don't know that it was intended as a joke that she made, and I don't want to like just go into this, but like, like if you want me to, I'll actually name names. But like an actress made a comment on her Instagram and she's getting ripped apart. Um, Meanwhile, we're still platforming a man who has actually been accused by significant others of being this kind of person, and he's getting a lot of notoriety right now. But she has been ripped apart, and she's the one that's having to cancel events and stuff. So it's just kind of an interesting thing, and it, not agreeing with anything that she said or did, um, but we
The
do tend,
injustice of that.
yeah, yeah, it's just interesting dynamics.
So, so am
I
I
think,
hearing
well,
then
I
that the tip would be to ask, like, if you've got to ask a societal question and
Hmm.
then ask kind of your character
Yeah.
how they would deal with it, asking other uh, humans in your personal life, the author's life, about their take on said societal question, and then that can be the basis for writing a strong female lead. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think so. Um, yeah. And, so a lot of Ariana is me. Like a lot of her experiences are me. A lot of her emotions are kind of mine. Her dark humor is kind of mine. The dark humor aspect is actually something that I have um a lot of people don't get it. So it's kind of viewed as a flaw for me personally. And that's fine. It is what it is, but um it's just little things like that we're like, is that a flaw on the person or is that just something that maybe we don't like this person or, you know, we have an issue with this person and we just tend to chalk that up to being a flaw of theirs.
In terms of personality?
In personality or whatever,
What makes a human strong?
Um, I think I, we all have strength, I mean, I think just living day to day can be a strength, you know.
Right? Just holding
Yeah,
the line.
yeah,
I got out of bed
especially
today. Woo!
exactly. Like especially in today's climate, and I think the strength comes from working on our weaknesses and working on those things, like mentioning therapy and stuff like that, those are those are what makes a person strong, I think. Um, just choosing to continue to exist, choosing to continue to fight another day. That's crucial.
So if you are writing a strong female lead and you're trying to do it in a way that's not man bashing,
Hmm.
And you've checked with, like, do you need a sensitivity reader? Like, are we just asking other people, men, to read it and see if it reads bashing, or do we care about that as
Ooh.
authors? I don't know.
Yeah. Um, wow. Wow. These are good questions. And
I
I feel like I'm kind of keep going on a tangent, but yeah, what were you gonna say, Eric?
oh, I was gonna say I think that there's just such an element of I don't know. I don't want to take it out to the macro part, the lens that I just think of this as like kind of in some ways kind of like media literacy or just like literacy, like just critical thinking about some of these things in
Mhm.
general. You were talking about this person who's being vilified for remarking on someone else's behavior, and like we're vilifying her more than the person who's doing the thing.
Yeah,
And
that's been
like, I
accused.
think I think there's a really hard. I think it's important just to be aware of message and messenger,
Yes.
and also that sort of like this is a character, this is a representation. I think we lose sometimes the frenzy to opine about something, or the frenzy to jump into the conversation comes before the discretion it takes to say, well, wait a second here, like let's think about this as a character, or what,
Yeah.
or as a person. Like,
Yeah.
yes, she gets an opinion about things that indirectly affect her.
Yeah.
She gets to say that. Um, I just think there's this lack of discretion that happens, and I know that's not exactly what we're talking about. As writers, we're actually making the message, but I just feel like it gets those things get so conflated, message and messenger.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, for me personally, I think it's just maybe it's a difficult question to answer because I'm very intentional. I try to be very intentional with all of my actions, and um, I I don't I don't ever view everything as men versus women. I've never looked at
Right,
it like that. I think there are very um, there's some damning evidence out there right now that's just like, well, that's not right. Why are we punishing the woman when the man is,
right,
actually guilty of this thing or whatever, like that. But I I still don't really try to view things in men versus women. And when I'm
right,
when I'm writing characters, I'm I'm strictly like doing it from viewpoints, but I'm always keeping especially the male characters that I've written into the book, in my mind. So I gave other male characters basically their own chapters to tell their stories too. Um, and I approach all of my characters where I'm a very character-driven person. I really appreciate characters.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to make them as unique in the sense that we're all unique. I always want them to have their own identity, with every story I tell. And in that regard, their experiences I don't view as separate, if that makes sense. So I don't approach it and go, well, I'm going to give these male characters any kind of privilege. I don't approach it like that. I try to tell their story as completely as possible so that, you see their struggles too. You see their what they're up against.
So
But
they're not two-dimensional.
yeah, right. And you can kind of deduce on just reading through it, like this is a female character and this is what she's dealing with from her perspective. Um, and maybe there is some sexism going on there. And even though that wasn't necessarily my intention, it's just kind of the way it worked out because there are some there are some real topics for people within the book that real women are living. Some of them are, personal stories. Some of them are stories of women I know. Um, and it's not, it's definitely not intentional to min bash or anything like that. I'm very intentional not to do that because I think men have a very important story too. And I think they're complex, and I think we're all learning how to coexist, if you will. Like,
Well, this is a hard topic to talk about succinctly because there's so
yeah,
much that goes into it. Currently, I'm
yeah.
working on a series of stories that are all told from a female point of view, and they're
Oh,
just different female characters. It would take a bit of air to explain the whole series, but like, I started out on this journey, like just sort of knowing that the journey would be told through female characters, and
hmm.
and I don't know why, I just knew that. But
Mm.
in the beginning, I took this as like I now have to figure out how do I write the character I want as a female, and that was the
Mm,
first thought I had, and but those were shackles on the writing process because at a certain point, I just had to say, this is the character that I want to write. They are female.
yeah.
And then I said to myself, what makes these character traits different for a woman than they would a man? Like, but
Mm,
that for me, had to come almost third to say, well,
yeah.
I want this person to be ambitious. I want this person to be, these three things. But
Hmm.
now let me think about that challenge uniquely from a female standpoint. Instead of saying, I'm going to write an ambitious woman, because then that, like, I felt like I was just getting into stereotype. I would just,
Mm.
she had to
Hmm.
have powerful heels and she had to be
Mm,
extremely cold. She became caricature.
yeah.
Whereas
Oh,
if I
yeah.
just made it like, what does an ambitious person do in this scenario? And then thought of that as a person as a female,
Yeah.
it, and the people in my writing group love it. Um, and that's very affirming. But I just think there's sometimes if you try to do that too much, especially writing the opposite sex from you, like that could get really convoluted. And again, it felt like caricature. The first I went back and read the first story, the first draft, and thought, wow, this is like I thought of all the caricature females I've ever
Mm.
read and watched, and that's what she was.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's so many, there's a lot of books out there. And I read a lot of them, and I take into account, like, especially when writing, like, how did somebody, write the opposite sex? Like, are they making them stereotype? Are they, and I think we see that a lot where if a woman is writing a man, we see, you know, either, either super like abusive, on the one hand, depending on the story they're trying to tell, or we see like the overly romantic guy that they kind of envision wanting rather than the real person that they are. If a man is writing a woman, a lot of times we see, they're like, well, I want to write a strong female character. And then they come across as like a jerk, and they're just like, well, this is just a flawed, unapologetic woman. So, but they're strong, and so that's what we're trying to write. And you're like, well, there is a middle ground to that, like women are real people, and we all know a woman at least, or we all know a man. So like if the one gender is trying to write the other gender, um, I think I think the bottom line is we need to remember the human aspect of it, and
Yeah.
we feel the same emotions.
Hmm.
But do we feel them, you know, from experiences where, say, a woman is maybe not given the same privilege as a man or whatever, So what's bringing those emotions to life is really, I guess, the question. And yeah, it can be hard to read stories where men are just like, well, I want to write a powerful woman. And then they end up writing somebody that you're just like, well, this person isn't even likable. So like a woman can be powerful but still be likable. So
Well said.
thank you.
Yes. Well, we are running out of time. So, is there anything that you want to talk about with your new book you said you're working on some children's books now?
Yeah, I have some children's books in idea phase at the
Okay.
moment.
All right.
Yeah, kind of around like traveling and getting to know like other culture
Oh, fun.
children ideas.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just kind of teaching kids some stuff there. And then I have another book that's a totally different genre. But not much to say about that one yet. It's still in such an early stage that
Okay.
I'm still working where it's going to end up. So
All
I
right.
love that phase.
So
That's a great phase.
it is a fun thing.
all right. So if listeners want to read the book that we were talking about during the episode today, it's called A Love Letter to Reading. And where can people find that?
They can find it almost anywhere that you buy a book. If you want a hard copy, mostly Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And then ebook, if you're an ebook reader, any of the platforms, and the audiobook is coming soon.
Ooh, are you doing the audiobook yourself? Are you
I
narrating
wish.
it?
I wish. No, I do have a great narrator though. She's working hard on it, and I'm excited for people to hear her.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on the
Yeah, thank
podcast. It
you.
was lovely to talk with you. And
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I'm excited to be here.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Maybe you've said, I'll write it when things slow down. But you don't, because the real block isn't time, it's alignment. I'm Valerie Isan, book coach, story analyst, and your witchy book doula. I created Aligned Author for soul-led experts who feel the call to put their life's work into a book that outlives the algorithm and finally say what they came here to say. In Aligned Author, we do two things at once. We build the book and we build the you who can write it. First, we get crystal clear. We start with a 60 to 90-minute strategy session to surface your book's core message, the heartbeat that ties every chapter together, and define your story hypothesis so the whole manuscript knows where it's going. You'll leave with a customized action plan that respects your creative rhythm and your life. Then we meet weekly, one-on-one. These sessions combine story coaching, business strategy, intuitive insight, and creative ritual. We use manuscript diagnostics and proven story elements to shape your structure, and we fold in writing exercises, meditations, and oracle readings to keep you connected to your deepest voice. All calls are recorded for reflection. Between sessions, you're not alone. You get ongoing accountability, weekly, monthly, and direct messaging, so momentum becomes normal. You'll also have access to group reflection and celebration circles because your book may be solitary, but your becoming doesn't have to be. Here's what shifts. You stop trying to write every day out of guilt and start writing on a sustainable rhythm with boundaries that protect your focus and your family time. You stop wondering if your story is redundant. Spoiler, your lived experience in your language is exactly what your reader craves. You stop chasing agents and trends before you even have a book and start building a manuscript that moves readers to action and grows your visibility. Your book becomes a true business card, one with a pulse. What you actually master: story structure, the elements that make a narrative breathe, self-editing with discernment, and the art of moving readers so your message lands and lasts. What you receive: less overwhelm and more inner spaciousness, practical tools for sustainable creativity, and the quiet, profound peace of honoring a soul-level promise to yourself. What you won't have to do: upend your life, sacrifice your relationships, or take 8 years to write a first draft. We clear fear, self-doubt, and burnout by aligning action with your mission. Aligned Author isn't a template or a timeline someone hands you. It's a sacred, strategic container where your book and your next self are midwifed into being with integrity and intuition. If you're standing at the threshold and you can feel that book alive inside you, let's walk the bridge together. Apply for Aligned Author at valerieeson.com/aligned author or book a free consult to feel into the fit. Because this isn't about writing any book. It's about writing the book only you can write, the one that turns mastery into legacy. I'm Valerie Eson. Let's bring your book to life.